Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsessions
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hi, I'm Jackie Cation, and you're listening to the Dork Forest. You've done it. You've chosen wisely. The website's JackieCation.com, DorkForest.com, TheDorkForest.com. JackieCation.com has everything, right? This podcast, links to my other podcast, links to my calendar for when stand-up comedy happens again, links to the merch if you want a Ranger of the Dork Forest t-shirt. If you want any of my stand-up merchandise, there's a bunch of new merch over there. There's the old pins. There's a new challenge coin. There's a bunch of t-shirts. There's CDs. There's my DVD. And there's some video, and there's more of the information that you could deal with. Also, so that's on JackieCation.com. And there's a link on, of course, DorkForest.com to the merch page. The other thing you could do is you go to iTunes and review the show. That's always something that's supposed to help. Hi. You might be listening to the show on Pandora or Spotify or Amazon or Stitcher or some other place. Anyway, you might be just listening to it at dorkforest.com, which will also have the videos. As long as we're in COVID, as long as we're in quarantine, I am doing Zoom. I'm doing this show as also a video show. So you can go to the YouTube page and get a bunch of that. That also has a bunch of my stand-up clips on it as well. Let's do the credits. Hey, Mike Ruekberg wrote and composed that song that you just heard, and he sang it with his wife, Sarah. He will sing at the end of the program his words to the Mexican hat dance. Very glamorous. Patrick Brady fixes the audio, the video. He does everything, and he really kind of keeps me sane. Loving Patrick Brady, especially in these days. And then Vilmos keeps JackieCation.com rocking and rolling, as the kids say. There are several ways to support the show. I've already mentioned reviewing the show on iTunes. You could also just tell people that you love the show. That's always something. You could repost it if it's a particular episode you enjoy. You could join the Ranger page on Facebook if you like. That's just a bunch of people who love the show, and they can riff on each other and talk about the show and dorky things that they love themselves. My Twitter, Instagram, and all things, Snapchat at Jackie Cation. If you ever want to get in touch with me, it's Jackie at JackieCation.com. That's my email address. And if you want to donate, you can just give me money, quite honestly. You can PayPal me, Jackie at JackieCation.com, or use the button on JackieCation.com or DorkForest.com, and it comes directly to me. I will use it, in this case, enormously wisely on things like shelter and food until I'm on the road again. And then, and I appreciate whatever you could send. If you want to make it monthly, if you do monthly things, you can make the PayPal thing monthly. You can also, if you don't like PayPal, you can pay me by Venmo. My Venmo is just my name, Jackie-Cation, and then a picture of me windswept, I believe. Other than that, yeah. Bandcamp. If you've run out of episodes to watch and would like more, there are live episodes on dorkforest.bandcamp.com. And there's a bunch of episodes. There's 200 episodes before I started pre-recording. The best 17 of the horrible audio that they were are on Bandcamp. So you can listen to those for free. There's a bunch of live ones that are like $2 a piece because they cost me some money to produce. So I charge you a couple of bucks. There's also a storytelling album if you like that. So much info. Let's get into the show. Hi, it's Jackie Cation. I am talking to Jenn Welch, who we met in New York like 4 years ago. Hello and welcome to the Dork Forest, Jenn Welch.
Oh my God, it's so good to be here. There's so many trees. I love it.
That's awesome. Because tweet. Yeah. There used to be someone made a bird thing that I used to use way back in like 2006, 2007. And so you have a podcast.
Yes.
And it's Lady HD, and the Twitter and Instagram is at Lady Lady HD as in ADHD. It's Lady HD Pod, and so your Twitter and Instagram yourself is just Jenn Welch now.
Yeah.
Jenn with two N's.
Jenn with two N's. Welch like the grape juice. Now, like as in right now. Yep.
There we are. Yep. And so I'm excited. You were running live shows when I was in New York and in Park Slope, and now the world is much narrower, a little slower. We're kicking back.
Yeah, it's a different reality that we're living in here. You know, it's a much more easygoing, just kind of moment by moment.
You got to live in the moment. Otherwise, you could future trip, and that's not going to do
That's not
anybody
good.
anything.
One day at a time.
One day at a time, as the kids say.
Yep.
So what I like is that you play that game that everybody plays, but I don't own that thing. So you play.
You don't have a Switch?
I don't have a Switch.
Oh, man.
I didn't buy it when I should have bought it, and now you can't get it.
No, they're back. They're back.
Oh,
Okay, sorry. I'm already hijacking the conversation. I'm already hijacking.
Perfect.
Because I started on my roommate's Switch, and we just moved. We moved from our apartment in Bushwick into two separate studios in the same building in the East Village, right? So we're still like basically roommates, but we're like on separate floors in different studios. But I still had his Switch, right? And I was like, what am I going to do? And also he would kind of like hold it over me all the time that like my life was on his Switch now, He'd be like, but I'm letting you use my Switch. And I'm like, ugh. But then I saw on Reddit, somebody was like, I got my Animal Crossing Switch. They're back in stock. And I went and I got
your own device.
And not just any Switch, the special limited edition Animal Crossing one with the nicely colored little Joy-Cons. So very exciting. Yes.
What is a Joy-Con? Is that
a Joy-Con is the controllers that come off the Switch. That's what they call them, the Joy-Cons.
Okay. All right. Well, they are not playing at all, Nintendo.
No,
and Nintendo has never been playing in the game industry. They want to win.
You know what? Nintendo, I got my first Nintendo, well, my brother did, in 1985.
And
right?
Did he hold it over you?
Yes.
As a matter of fact.
My life is just like men lording their gaming systems over me. And then I didn't really play I was not very into games for a very long time, but then, the pandemic hit and it was like, what are we going to do? What else are we going to do?
We have, when we first went into pandemic, the thing is I have consistently played, and the platform has changed, and it's absolutely never been, because we have large gaming systems. Mm-hmm. But speaking of holding things over one another, we only have the one room where the TV could go. I mean, I could wear headphones and do it. But whenever there's an image on the screen, Andy, my husband, is like, what are you watching? And so he can't get any work done. And so I haven't, like, I played Apex Legends for about a month, and that was super fun. I played the new Spider-Man game on PS4. We have a PS4 for probably a week. The thing about the you have to spend some time learning how to play those. How to work the device. Yeah. Is it kind of Game Boy, the device for the Switch?
It's kind of like a best of all worlds situation, because you can like have the handheld device, right? For when Andy's in the room. Jackie, I'm upset that you don't have one, okay? Because it would solve all of your problems. Like when
it would eat some. It would be a real clock eater.
Let me tell you, it's a nightmare. But you would have the option of, when Andy's home, you just have your little handheld device and you play it by yourself and you ignore him and he ignores you, right? And then when Andy's gone, you're like, woohoo, and you hook it up to your TV, just basic HDMI cable, like pop it in the little thing.
There's a stand that has an HDMI cable that goes to the back of the
super
TV.
easy. Easy. Put it in the stand, pop off the Joy-Cons. You got two little handheld controllers now. And my roommate, he used to make
it's like the Wii? Is it like?
Yeah, so he'd like come, so I'm demonstrating this visually for the people who actually watch online. He would like come home or come out of his room because it's COVID, and I would just be like, because you don't have to stay upright. You know what I mean? Holding a controller, you have both hands, so you can just be like,
you can put them anywhere. You can dance. Yeah, we had a Wii for a while, and we gave that away. Like literally, we gave away all. He's a game designer, so we had all of the game systems But he doesn't work for any sort of Nintendo at this time, so he doesn't have to make anything for Nintendo. So we didn't end up getting the Switch. He was making something for the PS4 that fell through. Much like movies, video games go into production, they
Go into
spend 3
development.
years development, and then they dissipate. And you're like, did I just spend a year on just doing storyboards and figuring out, oh, okay, great, let me go find other work. And so it's weird, but I tried to use the 2 joysticks, but so I would have to get used to those. Now here's my other question. What if because the thing is I don't think we could get just one Switch. With Animal Crossing, don't you have to have your own Switch?
You can have so you can
Players?
have multiple players. They wouldn't be able to play at the same time, but they can both inhabit the same island. The only thing is only one of you is like the island mayor, like the resident, like the like chief,
Sure.
like gung-ho,
The boss.
not gung-ho, the boss. Yeah. So like the second player doesn't have all of the like sort of options that the first player has, but it's still super fun. And you could just both have your own islands. And, Jackie, you could have both have your own islands on your own separate Switches and then have sub characters that you've created on each other's islands that are not your normal island player, right? It could just be like Jackie, like it's like alt Jackie, right?
Yeah.
Like whatever Jackie has wanted to be in her life that she has never let herself be. My dog is getting excited over this idea.
Snoopy?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. Hold on. Augie, come here.
You named your dog Augie. I know Augie Smith. He had a kid.
Yeah, he's Dr. Augie Salami is his name.
What kind of dog is he?
Can I bring him over real quick?
Oh, please.
Okay, 1 second. Sorry.
Here's Rangers. Let's just you and I talk for a second. I need to know how much a Switch is. I need to know if I can get one for Andy for Christmas. Look at that dog. Look at that dog. Look at that dog. That's a good looking dog. Look at that little guy.
Okay.
What kind of dog is that? That's like a terrier?
He's a mix. When I adopted him, he was hairless. I had no idea what was going to happen.
What?
And he is apparently, so he's got these tiny short arms. He's got a real long body, a very serious face. See? But he is apparently, I did the DNA test, 60% Shih Tzu.
Have you ever been to FamilyPetAncestry.com?
No. What is this?
It's where you can find out if your cat came over on the Mayflower. Anyway, it's essentially, I used to do a joke about if your dog is part of the Dogs of the American Revolution.
Oh my God.
And so that was the joke. And then I bought the domain, FamilyPetAncestry.com.
Yeah.
And it just sends you to JackieCation.com.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought this was going to be a for real thing.
Oh, but it is a for real thing because you clearly paid $100 to find out what's your dog.
I may have paid $200 because I paid the $100 and then they were like, here's all of this information. But and I was like, my mind was blown when I saw the breeds that he was, because I thought for sure he was like some sort of spaniel or something like that. And then it comes out he's a Shih Tzu and Pekingese. And I'm like, he has a long face. That doesn't make sense, you know?
Right.
And I got like angry. And so I paid the extra $100 to get the more information that they give you, because I wanted to see like what that was. It wasn't really worth $100, whatever the information was. But
you'll be happy to know that I paid the $100 to find out what I am.
Oh yeah?
And from 23andMe. And there was no way to figure out more. They just occasionally do send me more information, but I think that's just because they're keeping track of everyone's DNA now.
Okay. Do you want to hear? I'm sorry I interrupted, but keep going.
No,
sorry.
that's fine. That's all.
Okay. This is the lady who hosts a podcast on ADHD over here. Okay. So I got really into, I kind of dorked out during COVID on Ancestry.com. All right.
Sure.
Like, went to town. I think I'm still paying for it. I don't know. But I am going through. So I said his name is Dr. Augie Salami. Okay.
Yep.
And so his name is August because that's what they named him at the pound, right? That was
Okay. Yeah.
And his name is Dr. Salami, because that was the name of the surgeon who I was like scheduled to have surgery in a few weeks to remove like teeth from my ovaries. And I
and super aggressive, those ovaries.
I know. They had better teeth than I do, but the doctor's name was Dr. Salami. And so I just thought that was so funny. And so the dog is Dr. Augie Salami. And anyways, ancestry.com, getting into it, going back. My family is like half Irish, half Sicilian. I'm going back on the Sicilian side. My great grandmother, her name.
Yes.
Augustina Salami.
Oh my God. This is a very nice button, this story. Well
Thank
played.
you.
Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you.
Yeah.
I was like, ha, ha, ha.
So it's
yeah.
just like 23andMe, where you spit into a tube and send it to ancestry.com. Is that the deal?
No, this is me doing insane like late night research.
Oh, just going down a rabbit hole of genealogy, not DNA. Okay.
Yeah. No, not DNA. I'm scared of giving my DNA. I'm scared of giving my DNA.
Yet, I don't feel important enough to be scared. So, but I don't. I always figure, what are they gonna do? I mean, they already have everything, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been arrested. They've got everything that they've ever wanted.
Well, see, that's the thing. I had so when I lived out in LA, I got a letter in the mail that said that there was like a warrant out for my arrest for like loitering with the intent to prostitute, and I like really fucking freaked out because I was like, "What is this?" You know, it was like
from Nigeria.
The DA's
Where'd you get
office.
that? Okay.
No, it was it said I had to. So I lived right on Hobart between Sunset and Hollywood, right? Like right in Little Armenia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Little Armenia. So I got this letter. It was like right before my 28th birthday. It was like the night before. And it said that if I didn't turn myself into the Hollywood jail immediately, I would run the risk of the embarrassment of being arrested in my home and all this stuff. So I'm like, what the hell is this? You know? And I had to like call them the next morning. My husband at the time, it's now my ex-husband, was like, if there's something you need to tell me about, it's okay. And I'm like, no, there's not.
And he wasn't kidding? He wasn't kidding?
No. He was very serious. So bless him, you know.
Yeah, bless his little heart. But boo.
But boo. And I like had to. It was horrifying. But I had
like wouldn't have mentioned that you had this weird nightlife. You know, he's like, you said we needed money.
Yeah. Oh my God. And so I mean, I did have a kind of crazy life before I met him, but not that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But
I'm sure he knew about it. I mean, the thing is you don't get married to somebody and not mention that you were kind of a jackass a couple of times.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least in general terms.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Like you list your arrests, you know, before you get engaged. But so anyways, I had to go through this whole process. I had to send the DA's office my IDs, like like all this like proof of like all this shit and everything, photo identification, all of that. So they could, because they didn't have fingerprints for the girl. She just had my name and she had like my birth date.
Okay. So there was some so there was like some overlap,
and like it took like 48 hours, and then they finally called me and were like, you know, okay, it's definitely not you, and so what you need to do now is you need to go down to central booking or whatever, get fingerprinted, and then we will take that, we'll do like a forensic whatever of that, and then we'll take it to a judge, and then the judge will give you a certificate that says you're not a hooker, and then you'll be fine. And I have an uncle who's a lawyer, and he was like, do not give them your fingerprints, because apparently
what kind of lawyer is your uncle?
I don't think he does. No,
not criminal.
No,
like
not criminal. I think he does a lot of social security claims and whatnot. But he was like, do not give them your fingerprints, because then you're in the system and they get like a little 3 or 4 point match or something, and they're like, you know. So I never got the certificate.
Right. I thought you were saying that now they want you to go down to central casting and see what you could be cast
Right?
as. Could
You're
you be
not
cast
a
as
hooker.
You're not a hooker. This is you're never gonna. I'm so sorry. You got to be a grade school teacher. Is that all right?
Yes.
And
That was a story I was not expecting on telling you right now. But that's why I'm scared to give. That's why I'm scared to give my DNA.
right, because your uncle, who does I don't know,
Social
divorce
Security
law.
Yeah.
He told you that you don't want to be in the system.
Yeah.
There's just, I mean, the problem with the movies that I love so much, and I love a dystopian action, a misunderstanding, James, Born Identity, and of course in real life, if there was a Born Identity problem, Jackie Cation would have died immediately because I don't have the athleticism to do any sort of panfar or parkour. I get them mixed up.
Both. Why not?
It's every 7 years Spock has to get laid, and then people like to jump on buildings. What's the one
Parkour.
where
Parkour is the jumping on buildings. Yes.
Yeah. Panfar is Spock trying to get laid. Okay.
Yes.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's what is that every 7 years? Is that my sex life? Is that happening? Am I Spock?
Shit. Are you Vulcan? What happened? Yes. And so that's funny. I have to tell Lori Kilmartin that because she's constantly telling me she's not getting laid. And I was like, well, you have children or a child.
And, I don't have that excuse.
And that guy in the garage. So but I do think I do like the idea that you've how do you have all the information to get to your great grandmother? I mean, my grandparents fled. There was too much fleeing for me to know who their parents were.
That's interesting. So that's obviously a challenge. So in my situation, in the Italian side, it's all a bunch of my female ancestors getting married off at the age of 14 or 15 to much older men, and then all the records of these marriages. So
there you go.
And then all the men die of dumb things before,
probably
after the 9th child. No, not even. No, I have one great grandfather. I have one great grandfather who got shoved into an ash pit by the railroad station. And then I have one great grandfather, Jackie, he got hit by a train caboose.
Just the caboose.
Just the caboose. It literally says,
move?
I don't know. All it says on his death certificate was hit by train caboose. And I'm like, how do you get hit by the caboose?
The caboose. Was it backing up and he didn't even know? And then your grandmothers or great grandmothers, like the women that these men were married to, had already had a pile of children and not died in childbirth?
Yes, they've all had 9 children and then lived
resilient stock. Look at you.
Yes. Grow teeth on my ovaries. That's how tough I am.
What does that mean? What happened there?
Oh, they're called dermoid cysts or teratomas. And apparently they can happen and they're very common on women. And apparently you don't really notice that it's happened. And they can grow there's a football player who sneezed once and a tooth came out his nose because he had grown one kind of in his sinuses. It's like germ cells, that kind of got left over during the whole
and they calcify or something?
No, it's a literal tooth.
What are teeth made out of?
Some cells. I mean, they're made out of cells.
I thought they were made out of. I have a degree in political science. I thought I'm going to say this out loud. I'm going to be probably so wrong. I think that they're made out of calcium, aren't they?
But it's enamel. I think calcium keeps them strong.
I don't know. Anyway, so you had them.
So you grow these cysts and it's so disgusting. I love it, but they're basically filled with any type of body tissue or keratin or anything like that. So I had teeth in mine. I had an absurd amount of hair, just beautiful long strands of hair all over the place. And then I had little organs, organ tissue and whatnot. And I had 2, they were so bad. I had 2, normally somebody gets 1 and it's you don't notice it.
Yeah.
I had 1 on each ovary and they were both the size of softballs. And I had to get
What?
Yes. Yep. like 2 babies' heads. I had 2 babies' heads in my pelvic
Attached
region.
in your pelvic region, one attached to each
ovary.
Wow.
Yeah. And then they found one behind my uterus too. And so I ended up having 3 surgeries in 9 months. Remember before I told you why I don't want to go outdoors during COVID?
Yeah. You're like
because this is my health history.
Your immune system might be compromised because of all the antibiotics you've had to take.
Yeah.
Because, this isn't interesting. It's sort of like your ovaries going, you will not be having any babies. I will bite a baby.
See, that is interesting because I saw it the other way where my ovaries were determined to make something. Like, we are going to make something.
Right, we're going to create something.
Yes.
But that is banana land. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
By the way,
they would not let me keep the tooth.
Oh, they would not?
No, I was very upset about that.
That is too bad. Sometimes, like, I had a Pokemon in my course, they're gonna send a ball up, gotta catch them all. And it's the only surgery I've ever gotten, and it was outpatient, laparoscopic, but they set up a thing to essentially get and I think it was the size of an orange or something like that, where it was like it was gross.
Wait,
but
did they let you keep your fibroid?
They did not. That's what they call it, fibroid. They did not let me keep my fibroid, but I had a friend who got to keep her fibroid.
Oh my God.
Wait, did she get to keep it or did she just get a picture of it? I think she just got a picture of it.
So I was like, listen, first of all, I think it is inhumane for you to not let me keep my tooth, okay? Because I worked hard for this. And second of all, if you're not going to let me keep my tooth, I need pictures. I have.
You have it?
I have so many pictures.
I just made you a co-host. You could share it if you wanted. It's kind of gross.
Yeah, let me see. It's on my Instagram for sure. I made a photo
and by the way,
collage.
Let's just do this. Let's tell people that I'm talking to Jenn Welch, and here we are talking to Jenn Welch now. That's what her Instagram is. You could just go there at Jenn Welch now. Jenn is spelled with 2 N's, JENNWELCHNOW. And then your podcast, Lady HD Pod. HD is in ADHD or high def.
High def, ladies.
How many episodes do you guys have?
Oh, we're just kind of starting it out. Okay, so I came up with this title in 2008 when I was first diagnosed with ADHD because it became very clear to me that all the stuff that's written about ADHD doesn't really apply to women who have it and the way it presents in women. And so I was like, I don't have ADHD, I have ADHD, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I see.
And so that's always just kind of stuck in the back of my head. And then a few years ago, I was like, oh, it's a podcast. And I started trying to make the podcast, but I tried to do it all by myself, which was bad news because I have ADHD and I need help. So after 2 years of beating myself up about not being able to do it by myself, I finally hired a producer, and now we're about, I think I have like 12 episodes recorded. I have like 10 episodes out. I have this week I have an episode,
so people could get into the ground floor of this would be nice for people. Okay, who, this week's episode?
Oh, this week is Nikki Glazer, who was just diagnosed like 3 months ago, so it was a very fun conversation.
Oh, that is
about that. Okay, so
she won't talk to me at all. It's very interesting about Nikki Glazer.
Not.
She'll talk to me if she sees me, but I've asked her to do the Dork Forest. Granted, she might be too cool. She might not have a dorkdom. We will, by the way, get back to Animal Crossing at some point.
We will. It'll happen.
And you should know this: human teeth are made up of 4 different types of tissue: the pulp, something called dentin, enamel, and cementum. The pulp is the innermost portion, makes sense. The chewy center of the tooth, and consists of connective tissue and nerves and blood vessels, which nourish the tooth. There you go. Now we know.
Cementum is made up. Somebody made that up. That's cementum? Like unobtainium. Yeah.
That is like a wonderful reference. Like, well played.
Dollar store like super
cementum. It is the only one of the 4 things that is not in bold, which makes me think that they don't have any more information about cementum. They have more information about pulp, dentum, and enamel, but no more cementum. I think you're right. I think they just made it up.
Yeah, I think it's from that's a joke.
It's a website called Kids Health, so I would not be surprised if they were just like, all right. But what we do know is that the teeth are not bones. They are not made of living tissue.
Oh, but there's tissue in the dentum, or in that part.
In the chewy center thing, in the whatever it's the
Yeah.
pulp. Yeah, the pulp
Yeah.
is alive. I think you are correct.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Oh no, I need to grant access in my system preferences. Okay, hold on.
Oh, well.
We're so close. We're so close.
Are we close?
Oh.
This feels like what you were telling me is that the first 25
Oh no.
minutes of your first
Wait,
episode
it's telling me.
has
Wait,
no...
I'm gonna send it to you because it's funny. Hold on. Here, I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Don't panic. Don't panic. You should be able to share screen. Go down to share screen. I made you a co-host.
It's telling me that I can. Oh, I know, but it's telling me that I have to quit Zoom.
Oh,
in order to share my screen. So, okay.
Here. Become
sometimes
a host.
Technology is
the
not.
thing is, there's going to be a couple of minutes here in the middle, you guys, where we just talk about the Zoom experience. I just made you the host. Maybe you can share it now.
Let's see.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
There you go.
Can you see it?
The Jenn Welch Ovarian Tooth Holiday Gift Collection, Society6.com/Jenn Welch now. And what is that? Is that the thing?
Well, this is the tooth.
Wow, it's huge.
You see it? Yeah, that's the tooth. It looks like a beautiful flying angel. And so I drew it, which kind of also looks like a tampon. I didn't mean for it to. I was just doing it real quick because it was a joke. And you can get a tote bag with a drawing of my ovarian tooth that says "smiling on the inside."
That
what
is
you can
ridiculous.
get for your friends and family this year. So that is
That's
it.
that.
So I will stop share. Now. That's the tooth I grew in my ovary.
Excellent. Do you want to make me host again if you could? Because I fear the recording. If you essentially probably the three dots or this is my dorkdom right now is Zoom. I have a lot of information about Zoom. If you go to participants and hover over more, you can make me host.
Okay, here we go.
And
hover over more.
Do you see that?
Wait, hold on. Jackie. Oh, that more. There's a lot of mores. Okay, make host.
Sure.
Change host. Bam! We did it.
Bam! It's now I'm the host again. I love it.
Yay.
I love that about us. We've done it. So here's what I want to ask about. So how much is a Switch? That's what I want to know. How much is a Switch?
I got mine for $2.99.
Okay, so $300 isn't ridiculous because sometimes I vaguely remember PlayStations being like $600 or something.
Yeah, no.
So
it's like $300. You can use it in your hands. You can use it on the TV.
You can use it on the plane when we start traveling again. It's that is great. And now there is so what is your Animal Crossing island like? I talked to Ron Funches a little bit about this. We had a little, there was part of his dorkdom was Animal Crossing. So
Okay, so I am so proud of my island because I like find one thing that I like and I think it's hilarious and then I obsess over it. That's like kind of how I am in life. And there's this one DIY item that you can create on your island, right? Because you have all these little recipes to create things using resources that you grow and whatnot. And and so there's this one little thing. It's a peach surprise box. So it looks like a little upside down peach, and you just set it down, and then you go up to it and you tap it, and it goes. And this little like baby with like a diaper on springs out the top, and it's just like right, and this like makes the funniest noise. I can't even attempt to do it. And it's delightful. And apparently it's based on is it Momotaro? Okay, it's like a Japanese folktale about a old couple who just wanted a child so bad, and then one day a giant juicy peach came floating down the river, and they were like, oh my God, look at this peach. And they brought the peach to the dinner table, and they were going to cut into the peach. And when they cut into the peach, a big baby popped out, and it was their baby. And Moritaro, okay, whatever it is, I'm getting it wrong, but it's a name. and he becomes like a warrior. He becomes like a very like distinguished warrior.
Oh, all right.
Grown from this peach. Okay, so I love the peach surprise box. So what I did
Yes.
is I grow only peach trees on my island.
Okay.
It takes 10 peaches and 4 pieces of softwood.
Okay.
4 pieces of softwood to create a peach surprise box.
Okay.
I have about 130 peach surprise boxes on my island now. So that's like a whole bunch of peaches. Okay. 3 peaches per tree.
Yeah.
You get them every 3 days. At one point I went onto Reddit and I was like, I need to finish this because there was like one aspect of it I was trying to finish. I have this like area in the back that's just like a like fountain of peach surprise boxes, like on all the tiers. So I just had people coming and dropping off like 100 peaches for me. Like,
oh my gosh.
Like, I love them. I love everybody. And I used my terraforming skills, which so you can create waterways or you can create cliffs, you know, because you can kind of like shape your island the way you want it to be. So I used all of that to draw a peach. I like a fancy garden. You know how like in a fancy garden, it's like, oh, it looks like this. You know, it's like
it's like a maze.
You look at it from an airplane, and you're like, oh, the cornfields have a like shape in them or whatever. I terraformed a peach surprise box open with the spring, so that's like a little like back and forth, right? Great, and then the baby at the top. And then I have the tiers of all of the peach surprise boxes at the end, and I used white flowers to make the diaper, and terracotta to be the baby skin, right? Like terracotta
so
pathways.
You Edward Scissorhands essentially your island to look like a surprise box.
Yes.
What?
And then you can also design your own clothing. And so I used negative space to create, I created a blue dress. So it's like the color of the blue of the sky with like green at the bottom. And then it's got like the peach surprise box. And then it's got Jackie. Okay. At the neck, it has like just a neck and 2 little arms and 2 little legs and a little diaper. And then your head is the head of the peach surprise baby.
What? So
do you understand what I'm saying? So it looks like you're a tiny baby with a big head.
Yeah.
And I made a hat that makes you look bald. And I have a whole line of clothing that makes you look like a peach surprise baby.
Oh my God. Do you ever visit other people's islands dressed as a peach surprise baby?
Yes.
Excellent. Do you just looking for laughs? Looking for, oh my gosh.
You know, one of the things that I really love about the game is that people are so freaking creative, and like, I just made the most, first of all, like in terms of dorkdom, like I was thinking about this earlier, I should have just said one of my things is like absurdity. Like I love absurd challenges, and I love like, what is the most absurd thing I can do right now? And it's like, okay, I'm going to make my entire island the most absurd DIY, and then make myself look like it too, you know? So like that for me is like the ultimate sort of like get into it kind of project.
Sure.
You know? And then you go to other people's islands and they've just done amazing things. Like there was like one island I went to like at one point where somebody had like created like all of like Dante's like Inferno, like little sections that kind of like went with all the levels of hell. Yeah, but it was just, you know, it wasn't like leveled up. It was just like you went around the island, and it was just like so creative. Yeah, and it was so creative and so well done. And the way like they use like certain things to make certain things, you know what I mean? It's like if you get, okay, like how do I say? It's like, just because you made an item and it's called this and it's for that doesn't mean it has to be that when you create the design that you're creating, right? Like you can make it look like something else.
Right.
So I love that. And it's just, I think especially in the first few months of quarantine, when especially like here in New York City, when we were surrounded by morgue trucks and like sirens all day long, it was like I needed to fucking just make my island a peach surprise box. Like that was like
I have heard
so
I have
bad.
heard that it's like it's been a real sanity saver in this time.
Yeah.
That it's just
Yeah.
people are they're just like it's something to do, and it's
Mhm.
adorable. So
And it's adorable. I had my 40th birthday in April during all
Okay.
of this, in the midst of all of this. And I woke up that morning, and my favorite islander, the first thing that happened when I logged in was my favorite islander, Wendy the Peppy Sheep, knocked on my door and said, "You need to see something in my house." And I said, "Oh, okay." And then I went over, and she threw me a surprise party with my 2 other favorite characters. And
Oh my
they were
God.
dancing. And it was just like, I was like, I can't end this. This is the fucking most adorable thing I've ever seen. I'm sorry I dropped an F-bomb. Are we F-bombing?
Swear it up.
Okay,
Swear it up.
All right. Okay, this is the most fucking adorable thing I've ever fucking seen. Like, that's me playing Animal Crossing. Like, and it was like, did I cry? I may have cried. Because it's like, I'm here, I'm alone. Like, my roommate went to the Hamptons for a fucking month in the middle of all of this. So I was just like alone in the apartment, and I'm just like, these tiny animals are keeping me sane.
Right.
And the Reddit community around it. Like, it's like this lovely little like subculture in Reddit. There's like all of these like Animal Crossing subreddits that all have their own little like rules and kind of flavor, and people help each other, like people
okay. So they're like they tell you recipes for how to build things or stuff like that, or
they might get if they have extra DIYs that they can give you, or like I have a villager who's moving out, so I'm looking for this other villager, or does anybody want my villager who's moving out so they don't go into the void, or does I have all of this stuff to trade, here's my wish list. Right now I'm getting ready to do a big I have way too many pants in my inventory. I can't fit anything in my inventory. And so I set up an area on my island that's just all the pants, and I'm gonna and I took a picture dressed as the pants fairy, and I'm just gonna post it on Reddit and be like, come get pants, and so it's like this other weird way of connecting with people. That is it's just lovely.
It's let me back up really fast to find out about the surprise boxes. All right, so you make surprise boxes out of peaches. You put them around. Can you open them?
Yes.
And do you open them?
Sometimes so right now they have this feature set up where you can basically take a it's almost like taking a 3D image of your island. It's called like your dream island. And so basically when somebody lays down in a bed, it'll say, do you want to go to sleep? And if you say yes, that means you want to visit somebody's dream island, right? And so when you visit somebody's dream island, you can interact with everything, you can play with everything, you can talk to all the villagers and everything, but it doesn't actually affect their island, right? So it's like you can just like go to town on somebody's island. So my dream for my dream island is to have peach surprise boxes everywhere, closed, so that people can come and almost like popping bubble wrap, just go boing, 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 boing.
And just open them all, as many as they want.
Open them all, as many as they want. Just go to town, like just open all the peach surprise boxes, because it's like the most satisfying.
And it doesn't affect the actual island. Can people come on the island and actually open the peach surprise boxes?
Now,
real ones, yeah,
absolutely. Come by. Come open some boxes. Yeah.
Fun. What's in them?
Yeah.
Is it all babies?
Yeah, they're all babies. You can't change it. I can't change what's in them.
Right.
Yeah.
They're okay. I was curious if you could change what's in them. You cannot change what's in them.
No.
Okay,
no,
fair
I can't.
enough.
But
That's funny.
Yeah, so that's what my island is right now.
It's populated.
And it makes me very happy.
Are there lots of babies on your island already? From the boxes?
I think I have about 100, and so the babies don't come out. The babies that then you press it and it goes back in. Oh my God, no, my island overrun by warrior babies? No,
Yeah.
no. Okay, no. That would be a
That's
nightmare.
what I thought.
I know. I love it, but no. They just stay on their spring, and then they're either out or they're in. Or
Right.
they're out or they're in, right?
Mhm.
So like a Jack in the Box, but way better.
Fun.
Yeah. And so
And how long
every
does
once
it take for them to reset?
Oh, you have to reset it.
Oh, you have to
So-
physically go and reset them all.
Yeah,
Okay.
you have to like reset it. So every once in a while, like I'll see one of my villagers, like computer controlled, like whatever villagers walking around the background, and they'll just stand at a peach surprise box and like kind of tilt their head and then reach their little arm out, and it'll go boing, and they'll go, and it cracks me up.
Every time.
It's all so cute. It's just so cute, you know? Yeah.
Well, someone made a Dork Forest. Aldrin, who was on the show a couple ago, and I think he spoke about Vampire the Masquerade RPG. That was his dorkdom. But he's a big Animal Crossing guy. He's been trying to get me to buy the Switch for probably 2 years. And but I will say that he made a Dork Forest sweater for
Animal Crossing.
In Animal Crossing for my avatar to use. I did an Animal Crossing stand-up show. Jenny Yang, who's a comic, has that Animal Comedy Crossing, I believe it's called. And so my character was wearing my Dork Forest sweater.
Oh.
And it was adorable. It was genuinely adorable. And then
it's the cutest thing. Yes, keep going. Sorry.
Amber Preston, who's also done the show but did not talk about Animal Crossing either, she talked about her collection of Midwestern church cookbooks.
Ooh.
And cripes. And so she ran my avatar remotely because I don't have Switch. So she was essentially my avatar worker. And while I did my set, she would spin around and change outfits and make gestures. And it was super cute. It was really, really cute.
Yeah. It's honestly the most adorable thing. And I feel like we need it as a people right now.
Right.
And also one of my other favorite things about it regarding like the custom made stuff, is that if you hang that up in your clothing store on your island, your little villagers will start wearing the things you design. So if somebody put that Dork Forest sweater like up in one of the stores, the characters would start wearing it. I didn't know this. I didn't know this at first. And so I, as a joke, made something that I call the Nakey Tank. And it was like a flesh-colored tank top with like big old like man boobs and like a gut and like a butt crack. And I put it up in my shop because I thought it was funny. And then all of my characters started wearing the Nakey Tank all the time. And I was like, no. And I had to give my characters away to people because you don't want your characters to end up in the void. So every time I gave my character away to somebody, when it's time to move out, I'd have to be like, listen, at some point they're going to start wearing a Nakey Tank. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's hilarious. What makes you move out? What makes a character move out?
Well, I think it's something written in the algorithm, but they just decide one day to, you see them thinking very pensively. They have a little thought bubble over their head and they're like,
okay.
And then they'll be like, you know what? I really love it here, but I feel like it's really time to spread my wings. And I always feel like as a person who really tries to respect others' boundaries, when they tell me that, I have to let them go. Some people will keep their characters forever. But I feel like if they feel like it's time, it's time. I can't keep them around against their will.
This is a social skill that you're learning right here on the Animal Crossing, is that you got to let people go. You got to let them make their own decisions, even if it's just a program that has been written into this thing.
Listen, if I can let Wendy the sheep go, I can let any ex-boyfriend go. If I can let
you gotta go go be you, man. And that is hilarious and outstanding. Do people do, because this will probably come out, it might come out in December. I have so many episodes. People during COVID are very, very bored and would like to talk to me about their dorkdom. I'm recording 8 this week.
Oh my God.
That's a lot. That's a lot. But at least
Yeah.
it's everybody's got a different dorkdom. So that'll be fun. But
That's great.
can you decorate for a holiday?
They have holiday stuff up right now. They just did a whole Halloween season, and you grew pumpkins, and you grew all these spooky DIY items, and so like I have a spooky arch. I have like a whole spooky area.
Sure.
And then right now it's Thanksgiving is mushroom and maple leaf season. So I'm catching maple leafs right now. I'm building mushroom stuff, and that's real exciting. Earlier in the year.
Funny.
Right in April, when it first kind of came out, was the cherry blossom time.
Oh, right.
It was beautiful. My entire island was covered in pink leaves, and it was gorgeous. And you would catch them and make little things. And yeah,
can you keep them? Can you keep cherry blossom season all year long?
You can't. No.
Okay, because it sort of rotates.
Well, that's a controversial question, or the answer is controversial.
Fine.
Because
we talk about the real issues here, Jen. Let's do this.
There are people who time hop. Time hop, right?
Hop. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, or time travel. Basically, they reset the system time on their Switch.
Oh.
To either hop forward or hop back, so that they can say suddenly be the person, right? So if I time hop now to December 25th, I'll have my Christmas celebration and probably get some Christmas items that nobody else has, and then I can go onto the subreddits and be like, oh, look what I got. And then people are either want it and will give you the best things ever in trade. There's a real barter system going on here. At one point earlier this year, people were trading real actual money for certain characters, which is insane. Okay,
right.
Don't do that. But people will get these like crazy items that aren't out yet, because of time or whatever, and then kind of come back and be like, and then people get angry. Because they're not honoring time.
Right. Right. Yeah. So how do you barter? How would you give somebody something? Like you're like, oh, I have extra pumpkins. Do you need a pumpkin? Or whatever. Do they have to come to your island and pick it up?
Yeah, they either come to yours or you go to theirs. There's a little thing, it's called a dodo code. It's like little 5 alphanumeric thing that you type in. It's like single use, right? And it's like, okay, here's my dodo code. And you just like pop over. And there's a little seaplane, and there's 2 pelicans that run the airport, Orville and Wilbur. And they you go over to their place, you drop your thing, they drop their thing, you pick it up. Sometimes they let you go in their store, see what's going on there that day, and then you leave.
So you can go to other people's stores and buy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or is that true? And are you buying, what's the currency?
Bells.
Oh, bells. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I think somebody told me that.
Yes.
And so how do you get bells?
You get bells by selling things to Timmy and Tommy Nook, who are little raccoons, and you get bells by making DIYs and selling them to them, and you get bells by investing in your bank account, having a savings. You get interest, and you get bells by just even doing like trades like that, and yeah.
What's the first simple way to get bells? Like when you first start, is there?
Well, when you first start, by the way, you have nothing. It is like that. What's that like reality show? It's like Survivor Man or something, where the guy's just out in the woods with nothing.
Yeah,
like, that's what it starts like. I mean,
you're on an island alone with nothing.
Tom Nook is there. Tom Nook is like the capitalist overlord of this whole operation. Okay. So Tom Nook is there, and with his 2 little nephews, Timmy and Tommy. But so they have some resources, but it's all they're like, he's basically like, okay, bring me 30 pieces of wood. And you're like, what? Because now you have to like, okay, I have to get an axe. Okay, now I need to shop down. Okay, the axe only lasts so many swings, and then you need to make another axe, and then like whatever. And then so that's how you start doing these little things for him and kind of building up. And
it teaches you how to the user interface and how to do the things.
Yeah, because I mean, the fun thing about the game is that it's designed for kids. So it's not hard. I mean, that's the thing. That's kind of what turned me off gaming for a while, is that I have a really hard time with like first person shooters and things like that. Not because I have a problem with first person shooting. I mean, I do, but like that's not why.
Right.
It's just like the coordination and the moving through space in that way, and at like a high speed, and the stress of it all. And like, and I can never like, I sometimes, my roommate had like soccer, like a football, like a FAA World Cup game on his Switch that we would try to play together.
Super crazy too.
I just mash buttons. That's all I do, is I just mash buttons. And he's like, why is your goalie running in circles? I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And there's like, no, but this, it's slow. I'm making choices. It's deliberative. So it's like, I can do it.
Right. It's easy. It's a lower level of learning. So like you don't have to spend, because all those games, Apex Legends, and I bought some other first person shooter because I was like, maybe I'll be a first person shooter person. Maybe I'll be a PlayStation. This will be my thing. And I'll get a Twitch channel and I'll have all kinds of things. And I do have a Twitch channel.
I do too. I don't know how to use it.
I know how to, just because I've been doing shows that are pushed to Twitch, and I'm like, Twitch is fine, but I'm following a bunch of people, and the Twitch app, just all of a sudden you're like, hey, Crown is on Twitch, Adam Conover is on Twitch, Dan Telfer started this Twitch, Ron Fudges. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm interested in doing this, except for it feels like the learning curve is a little steep, and it would take 10 hours to figure out how to use the controller, which buttons I'm doing, and and then I'm with a game designer guy who's like, well, wouldn't it be intuitive if when you go up you look, and I was like, stop direct, whatever, I'm just gonna go with what they've given me, and then maybe 3 months from now, if I've committed to it, I will change it.
Then that's when you get that's when you get next level.
Whenever anybody says anything is intuitive, I'm like, so is being a good person, but it takes practice. It still takes practice, you big weirdo. So the iPhone's intuitive if I've had an iPhone before. Apple is intuitive if I have other Apple products. So being a decent human being is intuitive if I've practiced being a decent human for 40 years.
And so, we are basically raised to ignore all of our intuition. So how could anything be intuitive when none of us are connected to ourselves emotionally or instinctive, like in any way?
Right.
That's a rant. Sorry.
Right. That is another episode of the Dork Forest, I think, is what we're talking about here.
Yes.
And so I like I love the idea of Animal Crossing, and if it's I wonder if I would play it. I mean, I think I would probably play it, but I am playing this one game already for 3 hours a day. So
which game are you playing?
I've been playing it for probably 2 years. It would tell me. I try not to look because I've played it over probably 1,000 days in a row. And it's called Marvel Puzzle Quest. And it is a simple match 3 kind of Candy Crush kind of game.
Yeah.
Except that it powers your it powers your superheroes, Marvel Puzzle Quest. And then it becomes a tiny versus game. So you get to use these superpowers. And the way they've done really good work with incorporating personality into this match 3 game. It's personality driven, where one of my favorite characters is Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill, first of all, go into the long boxes on that one. That is, and
I don't know who that is.
It's almost, I mean, you would have seen him in an egg, in like an Easter egg in one of the Thor movies, because he's there. Howard the Duck is there. I mean, they go so deep. I have probably 300 characters.
Yeah.
And I have my A team, which is, by the way, different than Andy's A team. We wake up in the morning and we do something called parallel play. And we're both on our cell phones playing Marvel Puzzle Quest, doing the daily Deadpool, which are like 6 fights every day that you have to do, but you get the money and the resources you need by doing it Okay. And then you have these other fights, and my A team is made up of Beta Ray Bill. Are you kidding me? I can't remember who my A team is. This isn't cool. But
Beta
it's
Ray Bill, Howard the Duck.
not Howard the Duck. Like right now, I'm playing Wolverine, Thanos, and Nebula. And Nebula's from Guardians of the Galaxy. Thanos is from the Avengers movies, and Wolverine, but it's the blue and yellow. Like, and then they have different level. Like Wolverine, there's like 6 different Wolverines you could be, including old samurai Wolverine, and which is from the terrible Wolverine movie, and then the art is all from all the different. They use real art from the comic books, and the different and you level up by buying the covers of the different comic books, and it is genuinely adorable. But the powers are so interesting. Like Andy's A team has Okoye on it, and Okoye is from Black Panther, and was from and was the head of his private army, right?
Yeah.
Okoye, and that's not the term, but he loves Okoye because she is a really good ally and will power up other characters.
Will like support them, like
yes, right.
Yeah.
Will exponentially improve their hit points, their damage points, if you collect whatever. So so that's the game I play a good 3 hours a day. So if I got a Switch, would I then abandon this game? I wouldn't want to. I'm sort of attached to it. And
I don't think you would, because here's the thing. Before I got my Switch, I was very, very into a game called Stardew Valley. I don't know if anybody's talked to you about Stardew Valley yet, but
how do you spell Stardew? Is it Stardew?
DEW.
DEW, Stardew.
Like the dew, like the dew of the stars. Right?
Yes. Yes.
And it's a very like 8-bit, like pixelated, like you inherit your grandfather's farm, right?
Yes.
Similar situation. You're there with no resources. You have 6 packs of parsnip seeds to start with, and you grow them, and then there's a whole village with all the people in the village. There's Pierre with his general store, Harvey the doctor, Gus has a saloon, like all these people, and you have to like make friends with them and do favors for them, and then you build out your farm and you build up your wealth, and it's all very one guy made this game, and it's just like one guy, and it's like got this beautiful music, and it's also hilarious because all of the characters have these like it's very funny, but then also like there's like one you can kind of get in relationships with there's like certain characters who are single or like available to mingle, and you like one of them, one of his little when it like pops out and it shows you like a little story, I forget what that's called, like a cutaway scene, right? So like one of his
a mini game. There's a mini game in it.
Not necessarily, well, there are mini games in it, but this is like a little like cutaway, like you don't play during this, you're just watching
it's just
unfold.
A cinematic. It's a cinematic.
Like a little cinematic. One of them is Shane face down in a pile of bottles on the edge of a cliff, talking about how he needs to quit drinking and all of this stuff. And this is like, but he also like, and how much he loves raising chickens. He raises blue chickens. This is one of the men you can marry, and he's actually one of the better men you can marry. All the women are delightful angels, and then like the men are like Shane, the alcoholic chicken breeder, Sebastian, the moody emo guy who's depressed and hates the world, and then like Harvey, so it's the like mansplaining doctor.
Oh my god! So it's like another kind of dollhouse kind of situation where you where you create this world.
Yes.
And well, that is
and
fascinating. So you play that all the time?
All the time. I would play it on my iPad, and then like I got the Switch. I got my roommate's Switch, and I have my own Switch now. But like I put it on his Switch, and I played it a few times on there, and I was like, I'm just more into Animal Crossing now. But then recently, I haven't really touched Animal Crossing more than like once a day to go do my daily activities.
Sure.
And I have been spending all of my time in Stardew Valley, and I feel so guilty about it. But also, I feel like this is the sort of thing that, like, I always have to remind myself, because being a very ADHD person, like, again, I get really into something until I'm not into it anymore, and then I'm not into it anymore. But I have to remind myself that it always comes back, because sometimes I'll be like, you wasted so much time getting into that. And it's like, nah, now it's just another thing I have to go back to.
And they're games. You're supposed to move on from games and then go back to games and play them again when you're interested in them. Okay. So by the way, I brought up my A team. Just speaking of.
Okay, good. Good.
So we have Beta Ray Bill. We have Beta Ray Bill, who is essentially Thor's. He has a hammer like Thor does. And then we have I believe my 4 or 5 star Carnage. Who is a symbiote in he's in the Spider-Man universe. And this is Medusa, who is, she is an Inhuman. She is the queen of the Inhumans. They live on the moon. Anyway, she's married to Black Bolt, who, weirdly enough, the fan thing about Black Bolt, I have a Black Bolt. He's very powerful, but his whisper will destroy minds. He's very loud, is what it is. He can, if he whispers, that's his power. He has sonic powers.
That is so. I'm sorry. That is such a beautiful like metaphor for like what actual strength is.
Yes. Oh, that is interesting. Yeah. Here's the weird thing about him. So he never speaks, Black Bolt. And so Medusa's power is that she is telepathic, and she also has hair that can move things around. She can grab things with her hair. And it's called hair metal. It's pretty awesome. Anyway, but the weird thing is she's telepathic with Black Bolt. So when he is the king. And when the king wishes to make a decree, he speaks through her telepathically. Couple of problems with that. First of all, we think, is she lying?
Right.
And second of all, why doesn't he have a whiteboard? Why is there no sort of like he doesn't want to be able to talk with his hands?
ASL, anything.
ASL exists.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because anyway, it's a fascinating world, the Inhumans. There's great comic books about the Inhumans. There's great comic books about the symbiote experience with Carnage, and then Beta Ray is hilarious. He's very sincere. He picked up Thor's hammer in the comic books, and Thor was just devastated, but then also made peace with it. And then I believe his dad Odin made Beta Ray Bill his own hammer.
Amazing.
So
I have a question based off of that amazing
rant. Yes.
No, just gift of all the backstories of these characters who you interact with on a daily basis.
Yes,
do you play games that aren't attached to characters? Like, are you, because I have like things like puzzle games and stuff like that. I have to I will download them in weak moments, and then after like 3 weeks I have to remove them from my phone, because like mindless puzzle games are like crack cocaine to me. Like, I could just go for hours and hours and hours. These ones I have to like kind of emotionally interact with in a way. And I also have to use my brain. Like, I have to think about like okay, what are the things that I need to do? I like to justify my time on them as a way of exercising my working memory and things like that I have issues with, so it's like executive function, things like that. It's like,
these are very good for you. Yeah.
I'm keeping a farm going, but the mindless puzzle games are where I will just like, I will come to like 4 hours later.
This is not, because Candy Crush is a mindless puzzle game. It's just a match 3, which I do love those games.
Yeah.
But what I like about this game even more than that game is that it has that other level of character and story. And that is lovely. I play a game that has very little. It's just a board game that I play on Steam. It's called D&D Lords of Waterdeep, and it's a card game. It's just a board game, and you can play. And I play it with friends in COVID over Zoom, and then we have a Zoom going so we can see each other, and then we play over Steam with Playdeck, and we play this board game, and we play other board games too on Tabletop Simulator.
Do you play Catan? Do you play
Settlers? I think I bought it on Steam recently because I have I like Settlers. I like There's another game that we haven't played. There was a big pack. You could buy all these board games. So I spent $35 on different board games a couple of weekends ago, and yet have only played D&D Lords of Waterdeep expansion sets.
Yeah.
And but we have Small World, and I bought all the expansions for that too. Small World is sort of a shorter, tinier version of Risk.
Ooh, yeah.
And it's super fun because it's not as long, and it's adorable. And then we bought a couple other games that I haven't played yet. And then but then we play on Tabletop Simulator, where all the games have been hacked. Every game you've ever wanted to play, you just have to go into their workshop part of Tabletop Simulator, and someone has written code for every board game ever made, I think.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And so we play something called Clank with an exclamation point, and it's a dungeon crawl game where you have to go, and then a dragon, and then you die. I've died a lot. I've rarely won. I think I've never won. I don't care. That's the great thing with me with board games and video games. I have to with Marvel Puzzle Quest, with all of those match 3 things, there's a lucky hat, lucky bat kind of mechanic to it, where the algorithm may not have been written perfectly.
Yeah.
So, like, my Scarlet Witch will place these countdown tiles and then get matched away immediately. I could get mad about that, but I'm not gonna. Is what I'm saying. I'm not gonna. By the way, we are way over an hour.
That happens with me. I have no concept of time. I don't know what it is. So,
but I gotta have you back on because this was delightful. We didn't talk about your other dorkdoms. Rangers, we're talking to Jenn Welch. So find Jenn Welch on Instagram, on Twitter, at Jenn Welch now, JENN, and listen to her podcast. There's only a dozen if you want to catch up. They're Lady HD, LADY HD, and thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me and letting me talk about all of my favorite things that people's eyes glaze over normally when I discuss.
I believe you just defined the Dork Forest. And Rangers, you know the rules out there. Take care of each other.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat, my hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?